Hi, my name is Elena Inge, and for my discrimination speech, I chose homophobia. I chose homophobia because it doesn't directly affect me, but it does directly affect my friend. He is a gay man in today's world, and I just kind of wanted to see what it would be like if he lived in another country, because in the United States, he has a lot more equal rights than he would anywhere else. So I just wanted to see what it would be like in other places of the world. Homosexuality is the liking of the same sex, so that means you are sexually attracted and you want to pursue the same sex as yourself. And sometimes people have a really big problem with that. And whenever people have a problem with that and they have prejudice against gays, that is called homophobia. Homophobia is still an issue in the United States, but in some places it does get much, much worse. The Commonwealth is a group of a bunch of different countries around the world, and about 4/5 of the Commonwealth criminalize homosexuality. This means that it is a punishable crime, and they see it as a crime, and you can do jail time for it if you are an open homosexual. And if you get caught having a sexual relationship with the same sex as you, you can go to prison. You can get certain penalties and punishments. For the Commonwealth, this is mainly focused on men. The men, they can get up to a death penalty for having an open sexual relationship with another man. It can go anywhere from just prison time to the death penalty, and the death penalty means that the state does kill you for having a relationship with another man. And women are still punished for it as well, but they just don't have as severe of a punishment. Women can get from a whipping to prison time, which normally it can be up to 5 years in prison. The Commonwealth does have some countries in it that are worse than others. In Africa, they have been, some of the countries in Africa have been making new rules to punish more if you are a homosexual, so you can get more of a death penalty or more of a torture kind of punishment. But some other countries, they haven't even acted on any of their laws or any of their rules for being a homosexual in many, many years. So it kind of just depends on where you're going to be, where it is at, how severe the punishment can be. The United Nations, the UN, they have been trying to inform everybody around the world. So all the other countries and all the parts of the Commonwealth that do punish for homosexuality, they're informing everybody that it is against basic human rights to punish people for their sexual orientation or their gender identity. So the UN has been sticking to that and have been trying to inform everybody and make everybody understand that is the rules. But it can be kind of scary to reach out and do that and inform people because other countries want to do what they want to do. The Human Rights Committee and the Human Rights Council have also been sticking with the UN to encourage and inform and kind of try and put a stop to the punishing of homosexuality. But also in these places, people want to speak out and want to stand up for the people that they love and care about. But sometimes it can be very risky to voice your opinion out loud. So there was a man who was beaten to death because he was trying to stand up for one of his friends who was a homosexual. So he was beaten to death. It was in Africa. So it can just be very scary to voice your opinion on the matter. So if you are in part of these countries that are in the Commonwealth that do punish and criminalize homosexuality, it can just be very dangerous to you because mobs can be formed and they can go against you and nobody's going to put a stop to it because they think you're wrong. There's also what's called an ex-gay movement, and this is mainly here in the United States. And people are seeing it as genocide. And people don't normally, whenever they think of genocide, they think of a mass murder. But genocide, the definition is actually more like a spectrum. So the spectrum from genocide can go from a social death to a mass murder, which means that people can discriminate and they can just harm people and socially just kind of get rid of them. But it can also be up to a mass murder. The ex-gay movement it's a Christian rights movement, and they are saying how being gay and being a homosexual is an identity disorder, which is something that would be bad and that would be treatable. And they see it as something as treatable because they think it's contagious and they think it's a threat to everybody else in the churches and their religion. They think the ex-gay movement, they see it as a science, like they see it as an identity disorder, so they see it as that science and politics and religion, they're getting those kind of groups involved, so people see it as a identity disorder, and they can see it as something that can be treated. They do treat it with conversion therapy, which can be anywhere from putting you in front of a group of people and making you feel terrible for having same-sex relationships to torture, basically, tormenting you. They see it, the ex-gay movement, they see homosexuals as a threat to their norm. So like their norm would be everyone is a heterosexual, nobody goes outside of that. But whenever you are a homosexual, then that does mean you are going outside of their norm, and it makes them kind of uncomfortable. So they see it as something bad. So people all around the world do see homosexuality as something that is bad and that is a disease and that is treatable, and they see it as something that's contagious, but it's not. It's just somebody's sexual orientation. It's how they feel. It's not something that should be seen as something that's treatable because it shouldn't have to be treated. It is just how it is. So it is a huge problem around the world, and homophobia is real and is something that does need to be, that does need to have a stop, does need to be stopped.